Good morning, Greg here. Burn at both ends. Burn on the front end of Saturday. It's a beautiful day here in Albany, California at 7:38 a.m. Pacific, May 26, 2018. I'm super excited for the weekend. As I posted last night, it's been a very exciting week. A lot of opportunities have come to a head this week, and you know, I've had what my former business coach Russell Cox called success steps. This is, a bunch of successes that build up, and now there's a success step, which is more like a milestone, and I don't say a pivot as in like a change, but a pivot as in like, now it's a new world. Now I can do something new that I couldn't before, right? This is like, you work up, like you write a proposal, you get it reviewed, you submit it, and then you wait, and then you get selected, and now you've been selected. Now you're into this program, or you're going to get this grant money or this contract, and now it's a new day. It's, you've created a bridge to a new world. And this is where I'm at. 3 really exciting things hit in this last week. And so what this does is it really, these opportunities hit, and I've been working on these for quite some time, been doing the things that I've been talking about. These tips and tricks and tactics. And what this does is it reminds me of the past, and the past when I had opportunities, and some of the mistakes I've made, and some of the failures, or the feedback as some call it, right? We don't want to call it failure, but I'm going to use the word failure because I think it's a strong word, and it kind of punches me in the face a little bit to say that word. And right now I'm in a self reflection period where I want to look at what's hitting now, what hit in the past, and how I was part of messing that up, essentially. And I want to leverage that. I want to make new mistakes. I don't want to repeat. And so that's where my head is this morning. But before we get into the topic, which I think you'll enjoy, just want to hit the weekend. So it's Memorial Day weekend. I want to make sure that I talk to my daughters about what it is to be of service, especially like to the country, and to let them understand, like, we have these amazing things in this country. I still am a firm believer, with all the challenges that we have, that this is the greatest country to live in, and this is the greatest time to be here. We have the most opportunities. I know that we have, our struggles, and news media kind of put spins on things, but, what I see in my day-to-day life are a lot of people that want to work together, that want to help each other, that want to spread like love and positive messages, and that's what I see. I hear something different on the news, but that's what I see when I walk through life. And I think it's important to explain that to my kids, that there's a reason that we have all these things here, and there are reasons that other countries perhaps don't, and a lot of it has to do with service. And that's what this weekend's about. Today we're celebrating my youngest daughter's birthday, so that's exciting. We're going to go to the park. So after this post, I got to get ready for the birthday party. And then this evening, I'm going to volunteer for one of my good friends' charity events. Ashanti Branch runs the Ever Forward Club, and he helps youths just deal with high school and middle school and get into college and get them on the right track, get them in the right mindset. He does some amazing work, and he's got this thing called the 24-hour relay. It's essentially a 24-hour event where kids walk the track, and there are teams, and there's all kinds of sponsors and events, and so I'm going to volunteer for that. And what's really cool is that I've been talking with Ashanti about ENSE and about some other things. I'm loving the ENSE platform. Go download it, ENSE. And I'm going to capture some content for him. I'm going to interview some students about the 24-hour relay and get Ashanti some content. So a little micro collaboration. I'm excited to use my lavaliers, and this is a great opportunity. And so maybe I'll interview some kids. Maybe I'll have some kids interview some kids. We'll see how it goes. But that's also tonight. And all right, so let's get into the topic, because I just think it's always good to just talk about some of the fun things going on. So tonight's topic, or this morning's topic, is failure is not an option, it's a requirement. And this came from from Russell Cox, my first business coach. And the basic premise is, we will all fail. It is what we do after the failure that moves us forward, right? That's that leverage. It's capturing that learning opportunity. And with each failure comes an opportunity to learn, and this is where I find leverage. So when I was starting my aerospace business, my business coach, Russell Cox, told me failure is not an option, it's a requirement. Fail early, fail often. And it sounds kind of like weird advice, especially, at that time where it's like, well, don't I want to have success? And, but the intention is that failure is simply a component to success. And it's important to kind of somewhat get used to failure, because there's going to be a bunch of missteps and a bunch of things, and bouncing back is a critical, right? And so these are failures, right? They call it setbacks. They're called, feedback, pivoting, correct and continue. They have a lot of names for these things. And so, the key thing is fail early, fail often, so I can understand how to bounce back, how to learn from mistakes, how to leverage the misstep, right? How to keep making new mistakes, right? It's repeating the mistakes that crushes progress. And so these are just critical things. And this is why kind of getting into failure and mistakes and being okay with that and seeing it as an opportunity to learn is critical to moving things forward. So let's get into some of the, as I'm looking at some of these exciting opportunities, what am I looking at in the past so I can leverage and make sure that I'm on my game as I approach these new opportunities. So I'm going to go through some of my failures. It's good for me to do this. It's a little tough because it brings up some emotion, but hey, this is important stuff. So some of the first failures I had was in 2006 after I did Millionaire Mind Intensive. I got involved in some home businesses thinking that, I bought into that 90-day, I'll be wealthy, or at least I'll have this great passive income after 90 days. And that was definitely foolish. I was stubborn. A lot of these home businesses have their own systems, and for some reason I thought I could just develop my own system and it would be fine. And kind of why would I think my way would work? I mean, the whole point of me doing this was to get involved in something else. So why would I kind of come up with my own thing? So that was kind of a really good learning experience. And then after the home businesses, I was like, let me get into real estate. I was living in Baltimore. Real estate was relatively inexpensive, right? At that time, this is like 2004, 2005. Things were kind of ramping up, if you can think back to that time. But the mistakes I was making, in the real estate, I was impatient. I was not playing the infinite game. And I also, I didn't truly embrace what I was starting. I didn't really kind of want to wrap my arms around the fact that I'm buying this piece of property and it's mine until it could be mine for quite some time. There's a lot to learn about owning a piece of property as far as repair and maintenance and tenants and all, when you buy, when I want to buy a rental property, there are so many aspects of business that spring out of that simple decision. It's almost, it's somewhat daunting. You got to have the whole loan situation going on. There is the cash flow of the property. There are the agreements with the tenants. I've had some very challenging tenants. As a matter of fact, this is interesting. The day of my wedding, June 4th, 2010, I got a text message where literally I got married at the courthouse with my wife. Neither of us are big wedding people, and I got a text. So it's that time in between. So we get to the courthouse, but we have to wait a little bit for the room to be ready, and so we're out in the hallway just hanging out, and I get a text message that one of my properties is on fire, and the fire department is there putting it out. So. And it turned out that this lady just left a candle on and it lit the place on fire. And so I had this thought during my wedding. I'm like, wow, I might have to go into bankruptcy after this. I had no idea what was going to happen, but just a data point. It turned out actually working okay with that property. The insurance did a great job with that, but still, it was quite an experience. So interesting data point. All right, so the real estate, I just didn't truly embrace what I was starting. And then the third major failure was this company called Quantum. This is this technology startup that spun out of the aerospace business that I started. This is we raised $2 million. We had some investors, and I definitely did not feel worthy. I didn't fully understand what I was bringing to the table for this deal, and what I realize now is that I was bringing the most. The money was almost like we can find other money. But what I was able to bring to the table and what my team was able to bring to the table was more valuable than the money. And I was blinded by the upside of this, and by the fact that I was doing, that I was working with investors, and it seemed like a big deal, and so that was the problem that I experienced, or my mistakes with that business was I just didn't feel worthy. I was blinded by the upside, so I wasn't doing the right due diligence. And at the end of the day, it was the wrong color of money, right? We should not have taken the money. It turned out that the investing team they weren't in alignment with what we needed to do to move the technology into the commercial space, which is a very patient thing to do. It takes years to do this kind of thing. And whereas the people that were put, front in the money wanted a quick return. So those are the three failures. So it's the home business, the real estate, and the technology business. And now let me talk now. So those were tough times, I have to admit. But how did I bounce back from those? Because I obviously got through them. I'm here now. I'm alive. So how did I bounce back? So the home business, let's talk about that one. So big data point, I learned that wealth creation takes more than just 90 days of effort. Anything truly worthwhile, whether it's creating wealth or creating success, it takes time and effort. And putting in that time and effort is very important. And when I noticed that anyone that did have success in that business, because there were successful people, there's no doubt about it, had a previous track record of experience that they were able to leverage to have success in the business. So, there was no one making money in 90 days. It was someone that had maybe 10 years of sales experience in a similar field and a ridiculous network. And then now they were able to, in 6 months, leverage all that and create, and I wouldn't even say create wealth. Create a little bit of cash flow, right? Wealth is different than, making, having a $20,000 month is not wealth creation, right? That's not a residual thing that's going to keep happening. That's, because a couple things hit and boom, you got 20K. It's different than a long-term wealth strategy. So, and the big bounce back on the home business was, I closed that down. I was like, you know what? Let me look into my past and what have I been doing for quite some time, and that led me to start the aerospace business, because I had been working in engineering by that point for about 8 or 9 years, and I figured I had enough expertise there to begin this consultancy firm. And then I also had the vehicle. I had this small contract. I worked at Johns Hopkins, and so that I had a small contract that was part-time, and they let me take it with me. So that was the bounce. That was the, let me pivot here. Let me put these small business, these home businesses away. Let me focus on a business that I have expertise around, and I have some leverage around. And so that's what led to the aerospace business. And so I was really happy about that. Okay, on the real estate side. So the real estate thing and the home business thing were happening about the same time. And I closed both down before I did the aerospace business, even though the real estate one lingered for quite some time, and I'll talk about that. And so I learned that quick decisions on the front end can lead to mistakes that require a long process to fix, right? For example, it can be very easy to buy a house. It can be tough to get into profitability with a rental house, and it can be even tougher to get out from under it in case it goes sideways. And I experienced all three of those. Let's see. I learned that asking for help was critical. I was trying to do everything on my own, and I, didn't want to accept the reality of, like, let's say a subcontractor, a plumber coming in and saying, "Yeah, this is what it cost." Or no, it wasn't a plumber. It was a general contractor that was going to do all the work for me. Sorry, I got a little itch in my back of my neck. All the work for me, and for some reason I didn't want to believe that his price was a good price, and I didn't want to see the writing on the wall. Where actually I got several quotes, and they were all higher price points than I wanted, but I thought I could do it on my own better. Actually, that's the same mistake I made with the home business. And so, so there's repeating a mistake, so that makes sense here. So so I learned asking for help was critical, and this especially was the case. I got myself out of a bunch of binds, a bunch of poor contractor decisions, subcontractor decisions, and then when I decided, okay, enough real estate, I got to get out from under these properties, I met with a lawyer, And that was a very sobering moment because, the lawyer said, all right, this is what you have to do to get out from that. And it involved kind of ruining my credit. And so, but this was the best way, because what I was doing was I was pulling money away from my family and putting it into these silly properties that weren't really worthwhile at this point in time. And so I needed to stop doing that. It was more important to put my daughter in preschool than it was to, keep these properties going that were just dead ends. And so sat down with a lawyer, and we crafted a plan, and then I executed that plan, and that plan took, several years, and as a matter of fact, maybe even a decade. I want to say, 2011 and I just recently got out from them. So 6 to 7 years to execute that plan to get out from the properties. And that was very humbling, very patient event, actually ridiculous amounts of patience. And so the bounce that I got from that was become an excellent money manager. That's what really taught me, okay, track the cash flow. You really got to, be on top of this game here. And so, and now I really have a nice process where at the beginning of the month, I pay all my bills, I track all my costs, I look at cash flow, and I'm really feeling like I'm on that game right now. And that experience really brought that to me. And then the third bounce was with this company, Quantum. I've learned that, I've got to trust but verify. That was part of my problem, is I was trusting these other people a little too much. And so verify. Listen to my gut and take action to test it. That's kind of part of the verify thing. I did have, some red flags were going up during that process, during the creation of that company. And I look back and I should have pursued those and checked them out and tested things before making major decisions. What type of money I accept for a deal is extremely important. The wrong color of money is bad news. And so the big bounce here was I leveraged the relationships that I created with Kennedy Space Center, and I was able to get working for Kennedy Space Center, which really held us over. Once Quantum crashed and burned, and it was in glorious fashion, I found myself in Florida with a wife who was pregnant with our second child, and here I had no job and no startup, and what are we going to do? We didn't really, Florida was not for us, and what are we going to do? So I leveraged my relationships. I found work very quickly. That held us over until I could pivot on the next opportunity. The next opportunity was going to Sarasota to run that business, which was actually a very good opportunity. So that was the bounce from Quantum. And so now, what are the results of all this stuff? Like, what am I thinking about now as I'm approaching these new opportunities, and how am I going to make sure that I'm just self-auditing constantly, and I'm just making sure that I'm leveraging all this experience. I mean, we just talked about experience from 2006 to 2017, so almost a decade of experience, maybe about a decade. So let's leverage this. So I'm constantly working on patience and empathy. This is critical. I think these go hand in hand. I can be impatient, and once again, this empathy thing, I want to do it my way. I don't want to have patience to see someone else's system pan out. And so how can I just constantly self-inspect on that and make sure that I'm honoring patience and empathy? So that's why I have my wealth conditioning program. I have my paleo diet, which is great self-control. I'm doing my best to keep excitement in check with due diligence. So whenever I get excited about something, I kind of dig deeper into it. I'm asking for help constantly now. And what's great about that is that forces patience and empathy at the same time, because now I get myself in someone else's world. Hey, can you help me now? I'm in their schedule. I'm on their timeline. I'm going to see their thought process. So a lot of patience, a lot of empathy. I get to see what they do, and I might not get it at first. They might start in some way that I don't maybe agree with, or is different than what I'm used to. A little empathy. Hey, this is, there's a reason why I'm asking this person for help. Let me just kind of let them guide me. So it's a great method. And just this is also part of this honoring someone else's methods and excellence and strengths. And we all have something to give to the team, and I think it's the patience and persistence and the empathy that finds out what that thing is. And so that's where I'm at there. Also, in a lot of these other opportunities, I didn't have a lot of choice as I was moving to the next thing, and so. And when you get painted in a corner and choices are limited, sometimes I'm forced to make not a great decision on a path, and so I want to avoid painting myself in a corner. So I want to spin up multiple opportunities. I want to give opportunities space to grow and develop and see what happens to them. I don't want to smother them, because that's this kind of excitement, and I smother it and then I squeeze it, and then you just make bad decisions. So give them space to grow, to progress. That's a patience piece. Empathy, because these opportunities, always there are other people on the other side of them. Have empathy toward these other people, see their points of view. Patience, right? This all kind of works together. Because in my experience, it's going to be obvious when something is hitting. It's going to be very obvious. Just like this week, a bunch of things fell into place based on a bunch of hard work I've been doing for many months now. It's obvious. The effort is not now in letting these opportunities come. The effort is in staying on top of my game, and the due diligence and the grind to continue to analyze and make sure that we're doing things and that we're moving things forward in an infinite game kind of way. And that's the last piece here, the infinite game. Trust and verify gut feelings. Right? These are long-term opportunities. I'm going to be working with these people for a long time. There's no reason to let some slip up in the beginning mess things up. So trust but verify. Listen to gut feelings. Test them. Focus on long-term thinking. What am I getting involved in? Is this sustainable? What is the long-term result? How are the actions I'm taking now and tomorrow and this week really contributing to this long-term result, to this infinite game? Am I making sure that I'm challenging myself and not doing this for some other silly reason? But it's all about the intention I'm putting out. And then also, and this is a big one, is to fully commit to my success. I think that's critical. I wasn't all in on those other opportunities. That's my big realization. I was not all in, and so it's fully committing. That's what this channel is about. That's what I'm doing now. I'm really excited about it, and yeah. So these are my failures, and how I'm bouncing back, and how I'm keeping going. And I have this thought, is that the only way I could really fail is if I stop. If I stop pursuing these dreams of mine, if I stop pursuing what I think I've been put on this earth to do. I think I'm really moving in that direction. I'm really thrilled for it. So the only real way I can fail is if I stop. Is if I hang it up. Is if I say, all right, well, that was great, but now I'm just going to kind of coast, because that option is always available to me. All right, I'm very lucky to have this engineering degree. I can get an engineering job. They pay pretty well all over the country, all over the world. But that's not. While that's somewhat satisfying, that's not what I really want. I want to have more impact. I want to do more. I want to help more people. I want to change the world. And so I could coast in an engineering position and just go to retirement, hit retirement, and then retire. But that's not what I want to do. So fully committing to my success, really keeping these failures front and center in my mind, so I can really have a good understanding as to not repeating mistakes, and that's where I'm at. So kind of this is a bit of a cleanse, this talk, to get into these failures, kind of like dig into my past. A lot of interesting stories come up. But it's good. It's good to stare at these things and have them stare back at you and just go, wow, I did that, and this was the bad, this was the good, and this is what I can do now that I couldn't do before. So I'm glad I had that failure, and so that's where I'm at. So anyway, subscribe if you like this kind of topic, these kinds of posts. Tell me about your journey. Tell me about your failures. Tell me how you're leveraging mistakes that you've made in the past, and how things are different now for you. I'd love to help. I want to be of service, so please let me know if there's anything I can do to help you. Comment down below. I've linked some motivational videos in the description. You can download the outline of my talk, and then also I've got some great music down there. If you like the beats in the background, that's G Money, my alter ego. I've been drumming for a few decades. I write these drum songs. You can check them out on SoundCloud, listen to them for free. And then also I've linked, I've been really into this DJ Tasha Blank from New York City. Really digging her SoundCloud. She got a lot of free content on SoundCloud, hours and hours of music, maybe even dozens of hours of music. But these great DJ sets, and she's really into dancing, and so it really kind of gets me moving. And that was pretty bad dancing there, but anyway, you know what I'm talking about. All right, I'm gonna end the post there. Be good, have a great weekend, do some great things this weekend, inspire people. Yeah, and I'll see you tonight.